Pencil Pass is an AI beta reader and manuscript analysis tool. Each finding includes quotes from your own pages.
That whole video was built just by prompting. No timeline, no editor, no After Effects. So in this Remotion Claude Code tutorial, I want to answer one question. Can you take a machine with nothing installed on it and make client-ready AI motion graphics from a single prompt? Let's find out together.
First, how to use Remotion in one line. It turns React code into real video. And because it's code and not a text-to-video model, it can't hallucinate. Your logo stays your logo, your prices stay your prices, and when you change one number, the whole layout holds still and re-renders exactly. That reliability is the entire reason this motion graphics tutorial is worth your time. Here's the catch though. The same tool and the same model won't automatically give you that result. On the left is what a lazy prompt produces. On the right is the finished promo you just saw, both made in the same sitting. The gap between them isn't the model at all. It comes down to 4 rules, and I'm going to hand you every one of them. So make sure to stay till the end of the video. And if this is already useful, do me a favor and smash that like button. Now this part is how to use Remotion with Claude Code starting from scratch. So we begin with the piece most people are missing, Node.js. Remotion runs on Node, so nothing else works until this is in place. Head to nodejs.org and download the LTS build. On Windows, you run the installer and accept the defaults. On Mac, you run the package or use Homebrew if that's already your thing. Once it's done, prove it worked by typing node-v and npm-v in the terminal. You should get a version number back from each. If either one says command not found, don't panic. Just close the terminal and open a fresh one. The installer quietly updates your path, but a window that was already open never gets the memo. That one catches people on both platforms. Next, we need the editor, VS Code, which you'll find at code.visualstudio.com. Download it, open it, and you're ready for the piece that ties this whole workflow together. Inside VS Code, open the extensions panel with Ctrl-Shift-X or Command-Shift-X on the Mac. Search for Claude Code by Anthropic and install it. Then open the panel and sign in with your Claude account. And here's the answer to the question that fills every comment section. There's no API key involved because any paid Claude plan already covers this.
Now for Remotion itself, and the install is far simpler than it used to be.
We're going to let Claude, inside VS Code, run the install for us. But first, give it somewhere to live. Make a new, empty folder for this project. Anywhere you like, but keep it simple. On Windows, something like c:\my-remotion-video.
On Mac, documents /my-remotion-video. Then in VS Code, go to File, Open Folder, and open that empty folder so Claude is working inside it and nowhere else. Once the extension is signed in, you just open the prompt box and describe what you want, and it handles the terminal for you. The only thing you have to be firm about is the skills. Notice I'm using the --yes flag here, and that's only safe because we're installing the skills explicitly on the very next line. On its own, that flag skips them silently. So tell it exactly this.
So let's talk about that skill because it's the Remotion skill almost everyone skips. If you already scaffolded without it, you can add it after the fact with npx skills add remotion-dev/skills. What it actually does is teach Claude Code Remotion's real APIs. Animation, sequencing, captions, rendering, so that instead of writing React that only looks right, it writes proper Remotion. Skip it and you get linear easing everywhere, hand-typed durations, and nothing ever leaving the frame. Add it and the difference is night and day. Studio's open and the skills installed. So before we get to the 4 rules, let's see exactly why they matter by doing it wrong on purpose. First, let's get our assets in place. I'll create a folder called Pencil Pass Assets, drop the voiceover file in there, then copy its path so I can point Claude straight at it. Now here's the lazy prompt. Make me a 30-second product ad for Pencil Pass. Here's a link to their website for context. And we just let it run. And there's the result.
You finished the manuscript. It took months, maybe years. Now find out what you have.
And there's the result. Text slams in with no easing. Elements sometimes land at the same moment. Texts were poorly arranged, and while it's technically a video, it's completely lifeless.
This next part isn't in the documentation anywhere, and it's the real reason to watch this instead of reading the docs. 4 rules. This is how to use Remotion properly, and it's most of what separates generic slop from something finished. And before we get into them, we publish helpful AI video tutorials every week, so hit subscribe and turn on notifications.
Rule 1. Audio first, then visuals. This is the highest leverage habit in the whole video. You record or generate your narration before you build a single visual, because the voiceover is the spine of the piece. Every cut, every entrance, every beat hangs off it. So the very first thing we do is give Claude a way to actually hear it. We'll have it install Whisper. And the important part is that Whisper runs locally, right here on your own machine. No API key, no cost, and nothing ever leaves your computer. It listens to the narration once and writes out every single word with a timestamp attached. And that file is what the entire video then gets built against. Rule 2. One folder per video, split by type. Everything lives under public, but you break it out into a folder for each video, and then audio, images, and video inside that. This isn't just about being tidy. When your folders are consistent, Claude can work out where a new file belongs and write the path itself. Whereas a flat pile of 200 files means you end up spelling out every single reference by hand. Good structure is a favor you're doing the agent. Rule 3. Reach for plan mode before anything structural. There's a mode indicator along the bottom of the prompt box, and when you switch it to plan, Claude lays out its approach for you to approve before it writes a single file. Use it for the big moves, like building a whole composition or restructuring your scenes. Skip it for the small ones, like slowing a fade. It saves you from the classic beginner spiral. One vague sentence, 400 lines heading the wrong way, and no idea which part to unpick. 30 seconds reading a plan buys back 10 minutes of untangling. Once the plan looks right, approve it and it starts building. Now, one thing that will genuinely spook you as the video gets longer. You go back to the preview in the browser and it stops looking like a video at all. The animations don't land, scenes snap straight from one to the next, and the whole thing plays like a stack of static slides somebody pasted together. Nothing is wrong. That preview is trying to draw every frame live in real time in a browser tab. So trust the process and let it render. When it finishes, it prints the location of the MP4 right there in the terminal. Open that file, and that's your real video, motion and all. Rule 4. Repolish one element at a time. When the structure is right, but it still feels amateur, the instinct is to redescribe the whole video, and that's exactly what you shouldn't do. Instead, you name one element and one property. The headline enters too fast, so spring it in. Or the 3 cards all land together, so stagger them 3 frames apart. Here's the line I want you to take away from this. Redescribing the whole video is prompting a video model. Naming one element and one property is directing a code base. Claude already has the file and the timings. It doesn't need the premise all over again. And that difference is the entire reason this beats a generative tool for real client work.
Now we build the real thing. What we're building it for is Pencil Pass, an AI manuscript analysis tool for novelists who've just finished a draft. I'll talk through the prompt as I type it because the anatomy of the prompt is the actual lesson here. You lead with identity, then audience, then voice, then the structure with timings, and finally the technical constraints. That order is how you create motion graphics with Claude Code that don't come out generic.
And as I said, plan mode first, then the prompt. Pass 1 is brand and content. I start by telling it plainly what the product is. This one's for Pencil Pass, a client of mine, an AI beta reader and manuscript analysis tool that reads a writer's entire finished manuscript, not just a sample, across 27 areas, and quotes the evidence straight from their own pages. Then I give it the audience. Novelists who've just finished a draft and don't yet know if it works. And the voice, which is literary, warm, and restrained, never hype. After that come 5 beats with timings, and then the constraints. 1920 by 1080, 30 frames a second, spring easing, a stagger, and exit animations on everything. Pass 2 is typography in motion. I tell it to tighten the type hierarchy and give every entrance spring easing with a 3-frame stagger. And you can watch the whole thing find its rhythm. Pass 3 brings in real footage. We composite the actual Pencil Pass app over the layout, the upload and the report taking shape. So now the video isn't describing the product, it's showing it. 3 passes, 1 file the whole way through. That's improving the motion graphics by direction, not by regeneration. Now Rule 4 earns its keep in what's really a Remotion video editing pass, handled one element at a time. I say, nothing exits in scene 2, so add exit animations to every element. Done. And then the headline holds a beat too long before the subhead, so trim it. Done. 2 sentences, 2 fixes, and nothing else disturbed. Then we render with npx remotion render. The progress bar runs, the MP4 lands right in the folder, and when you open it, that's the very video we opened this whole tutorial with. Let me be straight with you about what actually happened here.
What it genuinely replaced is the tedious middle of the job. The timeline editing, the keyframing, the transitions, the lower thirds, the title cards, the chart animation, and every re-render you'd normally sit through when the copy changes. What it didn't replace is still on you. The taste and pacing calls, recording the voiceover, capturing the footage, and the final judgment on whether the thing is any good.
So, did this Remotion video editing workflow replace video editing? For a video like this one, very nearly all of it. But what it can't replace is knowing what good looks like. Claude will build exactly what you describe, which means if you can't describe good pacing, it'll hand you bad pacing very efficiently. One more thing before we wrap, because I know some of you are already seeing where this goes. Once you can do this, there's a real play in it. You build a company a demo they never asked for, a finished ad for their own product, and you just send it to them. Most agencies pitch a deck. You pitch the actual video. That's how to create an ad video with Claude Code and Remotion that can close a client before the call even starts. And this reaches well past product ads. The same Remotion Claude Code workflow builds your intros, your explainers, your product demos, and reusable graphics for the whole channel, all from prompts. There's a starter repo waiting in the description, so if you build something with it, come show me in the comments. Catch you on the flip side, here on AI World.